All right. So, hello, jury, for Radical Sweeney Todd. You guys know what this is all about. We have a finale in about like 48 hours. You guys will be crowning a winner. Well, at this point, I think the finale is going to still be going on, but you get the drill. Yeah. So, you've never seen me before. Hello, my name is Kevin Falk. I'm very new to Radical. I've never been here the entire season. No, in all seriousness, very excited to get this underway. I do ask just a couple things. One, remember that I know that, roundtables inherently can be kind of heated. We can have conflicting opinions and things like that, but let's just try to be as respectful as we can to everybody. But also, let's make sure that whatever we are criticizing this final three on, that it is based on their game. There is going to come a point where they will eventually see this. So, just try to keep this as game as possible. Other than that, like we said, make sure if you have a thought that you just, that you unmute, but make sure that you stay muted just to prevent from everybody talking to each other, and then, unmute when, no one is speaking. But other than that, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I think we're going to start off let's start socially, because I think socially is a social game is very important within these games. You guys have had about 21 days to get to know each other, make your rounds and things like that. So let's just get into who did that the best. We're going to start off with Lane. What is something that, let's talk a little bit about Lane's social game, if anyone wants to start. All right,
I'll
Lynn's.
start with that.
Oh,
I'll
or
start
Megan.
with Lane.
Megan and then Lynn's.
I'll start with Lane. I found Lane's social game in my opinion, he spoke when he felt he needed to and didn't speak when he didn't feel he needed to, which in a lot of situations is highly beneficial. However, I feel like in this particular situation, it reads as I'm not going to put in the work because there's a shield in front of me. So it reads as I'm just gonna sit back here and I'm gonna let somebody else take all the fire and not kind of put my 2 cents in or put my neck out there because I don't have to because somebody else is doing it for me. I wish I would have heard some independent information from him. All the information that I had gotten from him or all the conversations that I had from him or conversations that I had already had or information that I'd already had from one or two other people already, specifically from his allies as well. So I was really hoping that he could have come to me with something new and interesting, something that he said, I did this, I am owning this 100%, and this is my information that I'm willing to give to you. I know that there's a mystery vote floating out there, and I'm really hoping that socially Lane is going to come up in this final and say, listen, that is my one move. I'm really, really hoping for him to own that. And if he doesn't, then I don't necessarily know if socially Lane can get the votes based on what I have witnessed from my perspective.
Are you talking about my mystery vote? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the mystery vote for Jesse.
Okay.
All right, Lynn's, go ahead.
So I think that's why this is so interesting, because that's definitely not exactly the experience that I had with Lane socially. So now again, like I didn't meet Lane until Merge. So that was the first time we spoke. And Lane was one of the few people who every day he was messaging me just to say hi, like, hey, how are you doing today? Like every day he was reaching out and making an effort. And like maybe we didn't talk that much game, but he was giving me a lot more than maybe some other people at times. However, I think a big thing that he did, which Kat also did, and I had to yell at her about the Julia vote, is when you're the target that they're going after, they stop talking to you, but they read your messages. And so you guys all know I came from Discord, so this is my first Facebook org. But Messenger has that really handy feature where it tells you when someone has read your message. And both of them had a habit with probably the last like 3 or 4 targets, reading them, like leaving them on read, which is like the most suspicious thing. So definitely could work on that. But I thought his social game was, in terms of connecting, I thought it was okay. But to Megan's point, I guess I didn't get a lot of information from him, but that's just not the relationship that we had in terms of like an information sharing relationship, I guess.
Okay, here's my take on his social game. So, night one, we all merge, and it's kind of like kumbaya. Everyone's kind of like getting to know each other. I get pulled into this alliance of Julia, Lane, Kat, and I. And I wasn't even asked. Oh, and Jesse, sorry. I was not asked. I just got pulled in. So that's the first time I spoke to Lane, was in that group chat. But then he also did reach out to me separately the next day. So like it never seemed there was information coming from him. It always seemed that he piggybacked off somebody else. So if I said, "Oh, let's go after Darcy," he's like, "Okay, I'm cool with that plan." Or, "Oh, Darcy seems like an easy target because XYZ." Like he never really said anybody's name. Again, I was only in the merge for like 2 days, so like I don't know a lot of what happened because I was not one of those people that was left on red. So
All right.
so that's kind of my experience. Was like it was a lot of piggybacking off of everybody else, but not piggybacking off my
Before I go,
my own
Bo, real
skill.
quick, sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, Dustin. I'm sorry. My thing with Lane is he's the one that told me when we were voting Megan out. Yeah. He was the one that told me we were voting Megan out, and I had to go with the majority. So
So Amy, you weren't here last night on the call last night, but when you come back from bowling, if we're still on, we need to talk about that, but just FYI, okay? Because I
please.
feel like you're missing information about that, though, 100%.
Yes.
But go
Okay,
ahead and we'll
can
talk about it later,
Can I
okay?
go next with Lane?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon did have his hand up, so you can go ahead.
So, the thing with Lane in his social game, I did start on a tribe with Lane. He was one of my original people that I worked very closely with up until we swapped, him and Julia. And then after that, I feel like when I learned about the 4-person alliance, or from afterwards with Julia, Kat, Lane, and AJ, or whoever it was in that alliance. He got really shallow, and Jesse was in that too, right, Gianna? I think. I'm just asking.
I don't know.
Okay. So other than Lane telling me, "Oh, you're safe, you're fine, you're fine" all the time. He really, like, up until, like, I was really close with Lane up until we swapped, and I found out Lane and Julia turned on me and went with Kat. So that's why I personally thought Lane was a cool person too up until that point. And then when Jesse started reaching out to me, telling me all these things that Lane is doing, that's when I got a little irritated and like started asking him questions. And I don't think he likes confrontation, because the last message I got was, "You're being too aggressive." And I said, "Okay, thanks. I know you're not voting with me. Have a good day."
All right, Julia, Gianna, you guys want? Oh, Julia, go ahead. You had your hand up first. And then Gianna.
I'm trying to be nice. So I mean, yeah, me and Lane were together with Brandon from the beginning, and then obviously when we swapped, as far as that goes, we did have 2 alliances. We had one with Jesse, and then he just literally added Dustin without asking anyone. So that was obviously a thing that Jesse did that obviously we didn't like, but that's besides the point. And then yeah, we had one with AJ as well, but literally all the moves that happened in the votes, as far as I know, that he never took ownership of anything. I guess socializing. I mean, we talked every day, but also when I was going, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go with majority." So for me, that's not a player that has my respect, unfortunately. Obviously I'm gonna go off of final speeches, but unfortunately for me, I'm not gonna respect a player that's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna go with the majority." That's not a power player for me. Like I said, I'm trying to be nice. And yeah, so for that, it's just like what off of what Lindsay said, yeah, obviously when people don't talk to you, you know what's going on. So that for me also I didn't like, but regardless, we're in jury, so that's hindsight's 2020. But yeah, for me, Lane's social game's not ideal, especially since people were like, yeah, we didn't really talk much. So for me, I think it's gonna have to go down to any game moves he is going to have to own up to, and if he was behind anything. But for me right now, where that stands, it's a no. So that's my piece.
All right, Gianna, go ahead.
Ooh, okay. So when it came to me and him talking, yes, he would message me every day. Good morning, Miss Gigi. Have a good day. And we would try to connect here and there, but our schedules just wasn't the best. But he didn't really talk much game talk with me. And then it got to the point that he was well protected. So because he was so well protected, I don't think he felt he really had a need to talk to me game talk wise. Even though supposedly he wasn't trying to come after me all game or what have you. The only time he really tried to talk game with me, besides right before I left, was the Megan vote. But he gave me like 2 or 3 other names. He kept saying, "Oh," well, Darcy came to me and said, "Hey, Gianna, yeah, I heard your name's going around, um, and sorry, and why did I just lose my train of thought?" And Lane started it. I don't know why I forgot Lane's name that quick. See, but no, um, that he started. So when I went to Lane, he was like, um, uh. What was he? Basically he said he heard my name going around, but he gave me like 2 or 3 different names before he finally said, "Oh, Megan was the one that started it." But Megan wasn't the one. So, anyways, besides that, like I didn't get much talk from him. And like I said, I really feel it was because he was protected pretty much all game or majority of the game. So he really didn't need to talk to me. So he's really gonna have to explain his game to me as well if he even has a shot of getting my vote. At least at this point.
Okay, so I think we've said pretty much
Megan has her hand up.
Oh, Megan, go ahead.
So I just really quickly, just to recap what I just heard from everybody, was that he was a lovely human being, but did no game. Is that accurate? Is that what I'm hearing from like 90%? He was a lovely, lovely human.
Yes.
He liked you as a person, but
He's a
didn't have
very
any real
respectable
depth
person.
to his game to get. Okay, just making sure that I have that correct as well. Okay, thanks.
I think everybody here loves Lane on a personal level. I know I do, but game-wise, I don't see it.
All right. Well, I think we've said all we needed to about Lane's social game. So let's go ahead and transition over to Kat. Let's talk a little about Kat's social game. Whoever wants to. Oh, Dustin, I think you want to start here, just based on the flapping of your hand. So go right ahead.
Okay, so obviously Amy and I started with Kat on the awful tribe of Hyde Park. But no, me and Kat were talking game like day one. Did she tell me she found the idol? No. But but we were talking since like day one. I consider her my number one ally. Like I was with her till the end. Like that was my girl. And we ended up having a 3-way alliance with Amy and a 3-way alliance with Jesse, which we were going to combine into a 4-person. But Amy and Jesse weren't talking, so that never happened. But we were having 2 separate 3-way conversations. I lost her at the swap. Obviously, she went over to one Sweeney Todd, and I was on Love It. But when Merge came back around, we got back together, and we were still like kind of basically right where we left off. And so she actually told me after we merged, before I got voted out, she told me that she had the Sweeney Todd idol. And so I told her that I had the Love It idol because she told me she had the Sweeney Todd idol and she was my number one. So her social game is like, I think, very strong because she was not only talking to me, but she was also talking to Amy and Jesse and Tyler. Like, especially on Hyde Park, I feel like she was very secure. And that's why she's still at Merge. She had all these connections from Hyde Park
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. She was talking to you. She wasn't talking to me.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
You're fine.
She went.
So I feel like she had a lot of connections from Sweeney Todd when she walked into Merge, so she never really was a threat to a lot of people. But that's due to her social game.
Amy, if you wanted to continue your thought, go ahead.
Sorry. No, she did not talk to me. Cat led me along like a lot of people played the game. But no. Yeah, no. Cat never had me in her final 2 or final 3. So yeah. I have no respect for her gameplay. But that's just me.
And can I just bounce off of what Amy said?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
She was only focused on one person. Obviously, that one person was me because, and I'm trying to be nice. I know we're trying to be a little civil here. No, I absolutely, Amy nailed that right on. She only was focusing on the one or two people that she wanted to, and then cutting the rest of them deeper than what you thought. And unfortunately, Amy, we were not on the cat train this season. Because after I left, look what happened. So,
all right, Julia, go ahead.
Okay, so I got bamboozled, obviously. So clearly that thing with literally I had a one-on-one, whatever it's called, final 2 deal with Megan, Kat, and Lane. So, and obviously Brandon. So, like, to me, literally, I don't trust them, obviously. Obviously, if I play games with them again, I'm not, yeah. Anyway, that's a different story. But, yeah, so as far as that goes, socially, Kat, I don't think she talked to everyone. Obviously, it was an alliance with her. I had like 2 or 3 different ones with her and Lane. But as far as that went, I don't think obviously we were really close after the swap. But I think when the merge happened, I think she started going different avenues. But also I just don't think, for me at least, I don't think she knows loyalty. Because as far as that goes, I think if you're loyal to someone, you don't just go with the majority. I don't respect that at all. Same with what Lane said to me, like, oh, I'm going to go with the majority. To me, that's not being true to your alliance. I get it's like, I was already going that round regardless, but I just don't respect that at all. And honestly, my vote's going to be really hard to do because all 3 of them snaked me. So as far as that goes, socially, I don't respect it like everyone else is saying. So as far as that goes, she's going to have to explain a lot of things and answer to a lot of questions, because right now she does not have my vote either.
So I do agree.
Dustin, and then I do want to hear from Linz and Gianna.
I know.
You guys haven't talked yet.
I was going to say one little snippet. I do agree with Julia that she has a lot to answer to because all 10 of you have walked in here and been like, I don't know who voted for you. So obviously it's one of them 3. 2 of them are it's 2 out of the 3. And I do believe it might be Kat and Lane or Kat and AJ. So they have a lot to answer to, especially if Kat's telling me that I'm one of her top people, especially if she voted for me. Like,
I can confirm that AJ did vote for me because he always has some kind of like honest parchment, some kind of fancy thing, and that I learned with Lane and his vote. So Dustin, I forget what mine was for Lane. Oh, it was the long black hair or whatever. But Lane put some.
Okay, we can get to that when we go back to Lane and AJ. I do want to hear Linz and Gianna. Gianna's thoughts on Cat's game, social game. Either of you want to start?
I'll go really quick because I don't have as much to say. Just because I really didn't talk to Kat very much. Again, she was someone I didn't meet until merge, so obviously like we missed some of the game, and then it just became clear that like she had her people that she was working with, and she didn't seem to feel like she needed me as a number kind of until it got closer to the end. So, obviously like we didn't really talk, and I didn't really get to know her or her play style or what she did, aside from the fact that like she was obviously tight with Lane. And so unfortunately I don't have as much to speak to on her game, just because she wasn't someone that I really connected with, and like we worked together on a couple votes, but it was never like me and her sitting down talking strategy, talking moves. it was me and her, maybe like real quick. Oh, did you hear this? Yeah, I heard this. Okay, great. Like, not much to add to the conversation. Sorry.
All right, well, let's see if Gianna has more to add to the conversation.
Okay, so me and Kat met at the swap, and at first, like, we were kind of trying to talk to each other, but wasn't getting much. But it got to the point that I got real close to her. We got on calls and everything. So I really thought we were good, but we were talking once, and she was like, "Well, I can, like, I really want you in this game, but I can only keep you for as long as I can." I'm like, "Ooh, that's interesting." Okay, so I kept that in the back of my head. I really kept that in the back of my head. Um, so I was at least because well, and then now I know, like, if I didn't win the Jeopardy, and if Darcy would have won the Jeopardy, I would have been out that round instead of the next round when I went out. But yeah, she's tight with Lane. They like this. And then she got real close with AJ, and I guess they all had their thing. So she was kind of comfortable too in her game. Um, but yeah, I thought she would. It made it seem she made it at least she made it seem like to me she at least might have gave me a chance to at least go to fire. But no, she said there's no way I'm going to vote Lane out. So Lane was her person. So I guess her social game was okay, but she still screwed quite a few people over. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, so if there's anything else we want to say about Kat's social game real quick, Julia, go ahead. I see your hands up.
Also, obviously, the Jesse vote, when I didn't know what was going on, literally, she came to me and she literally freaked out on me and was like, "Why did you vote for him?" I didn't. Unfortunately, sorry, Amy, I voted for you. But yeah, she literally came to me and blamed me, but I'm pretty sure it's her, Elaine, so they need to answer for that. So, just saying, they're
Also,
not trustworthy.
oops.
Go ahead, Brandon. I think you said it.
It's just the jury management it's really gonna like Lindsay and Julia said earlier, when you get left unread for 2 days after being voted out, knowing that you are the target. Yeah, and like I'm gonna say, when you're evicting somebody, you want to talk to them and try to say, "Hey, I'm sorry," especially if I'm hearing, and Megan would really be open to this, saying like, "Hey, I'm working with you, Gianna, unfortunately," or, "Hey, Julia, I think it's you, but maybe we can switch it." Like, you know what I mean? Like, the jury management is what Survivor is in any game we play, and the jury management is terrible. I have never seen 3 people, unfortunately, have had sucky jury management, and I'm sorry for that. Like, it's just something that I'm having a hard time respecting myself, and then their final speeches are gonna come down because I am in here with an open mind. I'm glad we're doing this roundtable, so to hear more information. So Gianna, go ahead.
I was just gonna add that so I pretty much, especially when she said, "Yeah, I can only keep you for as long as I can." I pretty much feel like she pretty much used me as a number, and wasn't really trying to like work with me per se. But even though she was trying to connect with me, I just felt she used me as a number.
All right. So if we don't have anything else to say about Kat's social game, let's go ahead and move on to AJ's social game. Whoever wants to go ahead and start. I think
Sorry,
Amy, you're
if I
trying to
have
speak.
bowl.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to bowl. So AJ's game. All right, so I'm gonna be a bit. I think AJ has played busy. Has he snanked a lot of us? Yes, he has. Does he tell a lot of people that he's funnel too? Yeah. Yes, he has. Sorry. But he's probably played the best game out of the 3 people that are left. So I have to go, but that's what I wanted to say. I think he played the best game out of the 3 people that are left.
All right, let me piggyback off that just a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
So I didn't meet AJ till Mer or till swap. Now, what was crazy to me is that everybody on the swap tribe, and Lindsay and Brandon and Amy can all confirm this. We were all we basically had a basically giant main chat minus Ashton. It was everybody but Ashton in one like group chat. And he's like, we can work at Merge together, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And we were like, okay. And so we voted out Ashton like we wanted to. And then Merge came in, that chat never came up again. Like, we talked in it, but nothing really came about it. I mean, again, I wasn't there that long. I was only there for one vote, but still, like, it seemed like after we decided, it was just like, oh, we're done. But like, he talked to me more individually, and he seemed very scatterbrained. He had all these different plans in place. Like, at my vote, he wanted to split the vote between Brandon and somebody else. I don't remember who the other person was. And he wanted to do all this other stuff, and like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 vote the next round, and I was like, so I feel like his social game is very chaotic, but he tells what he needs to certain people for them to trust him.
All right. I'm getting the sense that Brandon wants to speak. I don't know what to go off of here, but like I kind of feel like that's something that wants to happen. So Brandon, go ahead.
So absolutely.
Hi, Jesse.
With what Dustin said, this 6-person, 7-person alliance thing, I thought was very gonna go somewhere and get out the stronger players. I know Lynn and I talked about that AJ and Lynn were very close, and I wanted to be part of that also, as well as with Julia and Lane. So I knew Lynn and Lindsay and AJ were very close. And then all of a sudden, something turned in this 6-person alliance that we wanted to have Dustin, and I wanted to bring in Megan, and he wanted to bring in Lindsay, and then Dustin brought
That's
in.
where it fucked it up.
And then
I stated
he wanted to bring in so many people to go into Merge to go against the other tribe that he ended up taking out everybody almost one by one off that. And then, yeah, Dustin, you're right. That was dead real quick. And I just, why bother having a chat to get one person out when we all agreed that Aston was going to be voted out? I have no idea. I thought AJ would be playing different. Obviously, I was wrong. So.
All right, Lynn's, go ahead.
Am I mistaken, or didn't Brandon, weren't you the one who created that chat? Or am I like...
I did not make that chat. AJ made that chat.
I completely missed that part.
Dustin, did AJ not make that chat?
Did you just say Amy made that chat? Because Amy did not make that chat.
No, Amy, you did not make that chat.
Oh,
AJ
I'm like, no, I did not.
AJ, the final 3, AJ made that chat.
AJ, Lane, and Kat. Yes, that is.
Well, I've been operating under the assumption this entire time that Brandon made it, but either way, I was told when the chat was created that like it was not, I don't know, not going to be a thing, but like not in any seriousness, like moving forward. But obviously, in regards to AJ's social game, like I was with him since day one. We swapped together, we merged together, we worked together more or less, obviously, until he voted me out. So I did see a lot of like shining points to his social game. He talked to everyone. He put in the effort with everyone. There was never, I feel, anyone on the tribe that was like, oh, never talked to AJ. AJ never talks to me. Like, whereas I think there were some people who maybe didn't connect with others. I think AJ really made an effort to make sure he was talking and connecting with everyone. And I think that served him really well. Obviously, he's in the final. Because he did go out and he made those connections. Like, obviously, I was tight with him since day one up until my boot. He was tight with Gigi. He was tight with Darcy. But then he also got tight with Kat and Lane. Like, and because of his social connections, he was able to have many paths to where he's sitting right now. So I would say if I had to rank of the 3 of them, I do feel like AJ definitely had the best social game. Like, sure, did he lie to people? Yeah, but it is a Survivor game. Like, I mean, when was the last time somebody won without ever lying to anyone or voting an ally out? Like, it happens. It's unfortunate. It hurts. Like, it sucks. But I thought he did and that's a separate like jury management thing possibly, but I do think he had a really good social game.
Okay, Lindsay, what about the Blake vote out? So obviously Blake went home, but he voted for AJ. Is that because he thought AJ was a great player, or is it because they never talked? Do you know?
So that was the puzzle relay challenge. I was the jigsaw puzzle number 5. I never got my puzzle.
We know.
No, but and AJ was the first puzzle, and that was the puzzle where I guess there were like some technical difficulties. He did the wrong size puzzle of whatever it was, I guess. So Prod let him redo it. They took the time off, but then when we didn't like basically DNF'd the puzzle tower and had to go to tribal, Blake basically like immediately turned it on AJ and was like, it's all AJ's fault. AJ is the reason that we lost. And I think that just really rubbed people the wrong way, that like Blake just immediately wanted to throw AJ under the bus when I was sitting there like, I don't even know what happened. Like, no one's even telling me what happened, and you're already immediately someone for the loss. Like, I think it just rubbed people the wrong way. I don't necessarily think Blake saw AJ as a threat. I think Blake saw AJ as the reason we lost.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
All right, Jesse, Julia, Gianna, if you guys want to chime in.
I mean,
yeah, Jesse, go ahead.
I mean, so I was there.
AJ's social game.
Me and Kat, I think, have been close since the first day because we're both from the same state. So me and her's been close. AJ, I never really talked to him too much, so he's kind of a dark horse for me. And I was hoping y'all can give me a little information on him. Lane came in our alliance to pray about the merge, but I didn't trust him too much. But it seemed like Kat we all seemed to be in control until after my vote out, and then Julia got voted out, and it seemed like every vote was like a blowout since then. So I was hoping y'all can give me some information on that because I haven't really heard much on strategy since I left. So
yeah, we're getting to the strategy. We're on the.
All right. Can I talk to Jesse really quick?
If it is relevant to what we are discussing, yes.
Yeah. So I heard it was either me or you going that round. And thankfully, someone spoke up.
Okay.
Okay, we can go ahead and talk about vote counts all we want, but we do need to get back on topic to AJ's social game. So Julia or Gianna, if you guys want to chime in.
Are we just talking about are we just talking between us jury, like what was going on tonight? I just got here.
Yeah, so we've already talked about Lane and Kat's social games. Now we're talking about AJ's, and then we're gonna transition.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're all good. You haven't been here, so I understand.
Appreciate it.
I don't really have much to say about AJ's social game. I only talked to him after the swap. Same with Kat, but I mean, from what I remember, we didn't really talk game wise. We talked more like personally. So I think for me, it's kind of hard to base it off of that. But obviously, he was kind of the puppet master pulling strings and shit in the background. So I mean, I wouldn't say he's a good. I don't think any of them have good social game, but that's just me. But I don't really have much to say besides that. So
all right, Gianna, go ahead.
Strategy wise.
Okay, so I do know AJ really well. I even was on production and watched him play. He is suave. He's smooth with his words and stuff. Yes, he was very social to a lot of us. Yes. So I do agree with all that. The only thing that mainly bothered me was part of it was so at the last comp, like after he had won, because I think he had figured out that we were trying to get him out or what have you, or he was gonna be the vote out if he didn't win. So once he won, he sticks his tongue out like pretty much being like, aha, y'all couldn't get me. Pretty much. So that kind of got to me like, really? Like you're gonna be like that? But okay. And that's the first time I've ever seen him act that way. So that got to me. But yeah, I mean, between the three, I feel like he did have a better social game than the other two. So yeah, I just wasn't expecting that, but I do. It got to the point towards the end. I guess almost towards the time I got out, he stopped talking to me, and then that's when I knew. And then when Darcy went out, because me, him, and Darcy had a 3-person little group. So the fact when voted Darcy out, I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, he's not for us. He's not with us. Now I know it's starting to go on. Okay. So yeah, yeah. That's pretty much how I feel about his game.
All right, Darcy, good timing. I know you have quite a bit to say regarding AJ's social game, so go right ahead.
Oh, what social game? Oh no, I'm playing. I just got off of work. So um yeah, AJ's social game, uh I feel like I probably worked close with him, but apparently it looks like a lot of other people worked close with him too, because apparently he had his hands in all of the cookie jars. I thought I was bad, but I will tell you this. When it came down to my vote, I would have respected him more if he would have said something, especially because we were supposed to be getting, we were supposedly getting closer and we were working together. So it was kind of like a slap in the face when I got voted out and he basically said my name. So, I mean, he basically, was trying to be friends with everybody and, that's why he was probably in a gajillion alliances. Um, so his social game was, it was all right, I guess. Um, Lane doesn't have a social game, so that's not even that's we're not even gonna talk about that. That's irrelevant because I'm like, what social game, huh? Who who is Lane again? What, huh? Um, and then um, and then wait, am I talking about all three of them, or
Yeah, if
just
you
are we
want to
just
weigh in
talking about?
on, since you just got here, if you want to weigh in on Cat real quick, you can.
Okay, and I mean, Kat. I'm gonna be honest with you. Kat and AJ's basically social game was kind of the same. I felt like they were talking to whoever they needed to whatever helped them, and that's about it.
All right, Megan, go ahead. You're raising your hand, so I was gonna go to you anyway, but go ahead.
So, okay, really quick. I missed the cat portion and I apologize for that.
You're okay.
But I feel so I think that Kat and AJ, people feel very similarly about them, and I don't feel that way about them because I had a completely different experience, very similar to the idea of Lindsay having a different experience with Lane. So, when it came to Kat and AJ and I had played in a game before, and we were very friendly in that game. Even though he, even though he backstabbed me in that game, I don't hold grudges. So I was like, yeah, look, there's AJ. He's my boy. We're gonna hang. It's gonna be great, right? I also played with Kat in a game. We were not close in the game that we had played before, but we had good, funny memories together, and we're like, okay, no problem. So independently, I had played with each of them at least once before. AJ and I are a vibe. But then again, AJ's a vibe with every single human in this chat, right? That's who he is as a human. He's a vibe as a human. And I feel like when it came to AJ, I heard, I just showed up at the end there, but I heard everybody say that he was just talking to everybody. He was in groups with everybody. And I have got to say, kudos to him for that shit, that we let him do that, that we felt so comfortable with him that we felt like we could trust him, right? That we felt it was okay for us to be in multiple different groups with him, and that he made us feel that comfortable to be that human with him. I feel like that is a testament to, while it feels sneaky and it feels a little slimy when you get voted out as a consequence of that kind of gameplay, the fact that he's in the finals and we let him go there, you know what I mean? Even after I called him out at tribal council, nobody still voted him out. Understanding what we all know about him, for one. For two, when it came to Amy, I didn't play with Amy this game until we got to merge, and I I felt like I was influenced with Brandon because Brandon and I had played together at the beginning of this game, and Brandon was really concerned about Kat, and because honestly I didn't even remember who Kat was until she told me who she was at merge. I was like, okay, apparently this person is a threat because there are other players who know her as a threat. So I'm going to immediately think of her as a threat. So when I came in, I did not immediately speak to her in a friendly manner. I was speaking to her strictly strategically only when she came to me. So when it got to a point when she had the opportunity to screw me and she didn't. Same with AJ had the opportunity to screw me and he didn't. So both of those people had loyalty with me because they could have screwed me and neither of them did at that point. I mean, granted, they both voted me out at the end. However, I feel like each of them had strengths to their social game to allow us to let them get that far because we as a group could have voted them out earlier and we did not. And we had actually talked. Go ahead.
No, continue.
So we as a group, I feel like independently, we each had the same feeling about them. Like, oh, I love AJ. We can't win against him at the end, but I love AJ, right? Kat is a total threat. We should vote her out. But right now she's a shield, but she's a total threat every single time. So I feel like the majority of us all had the same feelings about them, but we could not get ourselves together because their social games kept us from voting for them.
I felt like we had a hard time just like comparing notes with each other because a lot of us met at merge, so it's hard to like, oh, I trust Megan, but do I? Because I just met her at swap. Oh, there's Julia. I know her, kind of. Like for me, I knew Julia, kind of, and I was like, but do I trust her? Maybe, maybe not. So like, I feel like I wasn't comparing notes with people as much as I probably should have.
And I feel like in this game, there was a more heightened level of paranoia than I had played with in prior seasons. And I feel like I felt like AJ fed into that because he could comfort us and make us feel better. And no worries, I got you. For example, AJ brought me into the group, the outcast group, right? The outcast group. He brought me into that outcast group, right? And he's like, don't worry, Megan. I'm telling them right now how great you are. It's going to be totally fine. They're really worried that you're going to screw them over, but don't worry, Megan. It's going to be totally fine this whole time. So he was feeding us those things to make us feel better, yet still letting us know that there's paranoia. So be careful. So he fed into it and use that against us to beat us. And honestly, more power to him because he's there and I am here. So while I can understand how people feel icky about it when they get voted out, it got him to where he was. You know what I mean? And that's genuinely who he is as a human. He makes you feel awesome as a human. He just makes it work within this game scenario. And that's it.
All right. So I think that's a good point to stop with the social game. Let's go ahead and just generally talk about everybody's strategic games because we don't want this to drag on forever. So we're going to talk about the strategic games. How do we feel about the Final Three's strategic games overall? If anyone wants to start.
I'm going to say this generally. Some are better than others.
Okay.
I feel it's hard to tell. Okay, for me, it's hard to see two of their games. I did not see AJ's game that much during swap, or I mean, I was first merge boot, so I didn't see a lot of anything. But generally speaking, I saw a lot of Kat's strategic game because I started with her. Even though she swapped and I knew she had connections over there, I saw her on the high tribe because we went to every tribal council except one. So I saw her strategic. I like personally, she called me every day. We were talking every day. We were literally like this on Hyde, like this. It was me and her like this, I feel. And so I saw a lot of her positive strategic game, but for like AJ, it was a lot of like paranoia, splitting votes. That's what I saw when I went out. And then Lane, I saw zero strategic game from him. And I feel a lot of people feel that way, that Lane had zero strategic game. He kind of piggybacked off everybody else and what he heard and what the majority thought. And so that's where I'm going to leave that. And if anyone wants to piggyback off what I said, Julia, go ahead, because I see your hand raised.
Yeah.
Again,
That's trying to take my job.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna try to be nice, but when I said goodbye snakes on my goodbye whatever the hell it's called, that still stands. All three of them are snakes. I don't care. Like, they're cool as people, that's fine, but in a game sense, they are snakes. Yeah. Lane didn't have any strategy. He just went with majority. So I don't respect that again. Kat, I think she kind of went along with whatever people said. Maybe it's different. We did go on calls and stuff like that, but I think for me, it was more so, I think for me, people know I'm a social player. So I think for me, at least, people know that I talk to other people. So like the cross-checking and everything like that, obviously we should have did more of. But I just think for me, I had little pieces of information that I felt like, oh, I'm special. Like when Kat told me she had an idol, I didn't tell anyone until like halfway through. And then AJ, I mean, his was more in the background. So I didn't know he had all of these alliances and stuff like that. What everyone else is saying, I had a different view. But yeah, so as far as me, I just think their gameplay was snaky. That's as simply and as nice as I can say it. That's, for me, that's how they played. So, and I don't respect that.
Julia, can I ask you a question?
What up?
So, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody else can jump in on this too. So me and you were voted out back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it seemed like that every vote was a blowout? Do you think Kat just went with the majority after that? Like once she realized that her two closest allies, me and you, were gone, it seemed like she just went with the majority after that.
Probably. I know Lane did because he point blank, when I was going, he point blank said, "Oh, I'm gonna go with majority." As soon as he said that, I lost all respect for him. The night that you went out, I voted Amy. Again, sorry, Amy, but I did not write your name. But literally, as soon as that you got voted out, Kat came to me and she immediately started accusing me of shit, and I literally I literally showed her my parchment. I got warned for that, whatever. But like,
So,
just me
Jesse,
being accused is bullshit.
Oh,
So
Amy, let Julia finish first.
sorry.
Amy, I do apologize for that, but you know,
So
I guess
I'm
I
gonna
guess
be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you who told me to vote you, and it was Lane.
yeah, I think
He
Lane.
said, if you don't phone Jesse, if you don't vote Jesse tonight, you're on.
I
And
just want to
All right.
piggyback
Yeah.
off of that.
We're gonna let
Jesse,
Brandon speak.
Jesse, when I came to you and I asked you that about the alliance that you were in, and then Lane automatically, I didn't even include you into the alliance. Lane goes, Jesse blew up he was really quick, and I have these screenshots. He was really quick to throw you under the bus like that, and that's why I came to you in that way, and I said to you, Jesse, hey, this is the information I got. And you can either come with me and we can turn this, or we can, sit here and
That gives me a lot of information. That gives me a lot of information because me and Lane were actually so tonight. So I'll be honest with you, Brandon. You can be mad if you want to, but I'll be honest with you. Me and Lane voted for Darcy, so that way, in case you play an idol, it wouldn't be a majority, and Cat would go home. So that's when Lane had gained my trust, and now he just lost it when he turned up back on me, and then I got sent to the jury. So that was a bad mistake on my part, and that's probably my biggest mistake was trusting Lane. So,
and that's why, and I just want to say real quick, well, Megan has her hand up. I came to you and I just I know we didn't talk in the game, and I tried to being the underdog because I did it with Gianna and I did it with Darcy. I came to you wanting to give you information that Lane's actually staking you, and go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, Megan, go ahead. You are muted. Hold on.
So sorry. I just had a really quick question. Something was just occurring to me, and I don't know if I have this clear in my head, and so I just wanted to see if we had come to a resolution on this answer. Who sniped Dustin? Who did that?
It was
Nobody's
not me.
claimed
I
that.
voted. I love you, Brandon, but I voted Brandon.
Oh wow. I really thought it was you, Amy.
So
So
we
I-
don't know.
I thought it
so we
was-
don't know who
I
sniped.
had
So
the
here-
same.
here's-
I had the same 2 votes. Both rounds. I didn't have to make a new one. I sent the same one. No,
So that-
I'm sorry, Brandon. I did vote you.
No, you're
So
good,
when
Amy. Everybody
jumped-
voted me, and I voted for Dustin.
All right.
So then there's 2 votes.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it wasn't
so-
me. It
All right.
was
When I
not
jumped
me.
out-
Can we let Dustin speak, please? He's trying
So
to
when,
speak
so when I got voted out, I automatically thought it was Gigi and Darcy because those are the only 2 people I did not talk to the
Right.
entire time we were at Merge.
Right.
Now I know that's not the case because Darcy and Gigi have both admitted to me it was not them, and they don't know who it is, and I believe them because there's no point to lie now that we're in jury and there's no battle
Nope.
back.
All right.
Now-
Like I said, we can go through vote counts all we want, but we do have to go back to the strategic game. So Megan,
Which I'm getting there. But I think part of the strategic game is voting out people at the correct time. Now, I feel like my vote out was like, I don't know if that was the right time to get me out because I didn't see myself as a threat, and I don't think a lot of you did either. So I'm hoping whoever did at the end brings it up and why it was a good move because there was 10 other people to choose from.
all right, Megan.
So
And then
I'm so sorry. The reason why I brought that up is specifically in the strategy portion, because there had to have been a reason to have taken Dustin out. And I need to know strategically why that was, because Julie and I had a full-on conversation about Dustin before he left. And Julia flat out said to me, she's like, I feel like Dustin's a threat, but he is not on the chopping block tonight. There is no reason for him to have gone tonight. That did not make sense at all. And then there's the off Jesse vote. So those are 3 votes that nobody has taken claim for, and presumably they are all in the 3 that are in the finals right now. And for me, strategically, I need someone to own up to those votes, to prove to me that they had strategy behind the reason for doing that. Because if they're like, yeah, I'm just going to throw some votes, that's not strategy. That's throwing a vote. That's anti-strategy for me. But if you actually had a plan behind the reason why you made those off votes, I'm going to give you credit for that for sure. Thank
Okay,
you.
Darcy, you had your hand up.
Sorry, Kevin, I had a question.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, Kat or Lane was the other vote for Jesse.
Wait. Yeah, it was definitely Lane, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it's
Definitely
Lane.
Cat Lane. That was the 2 votes for Dustin.
Actually, I
voted for
can
Jesse.
recall Lane saying he will vote for Jesse because I did blow that alliance up and that
It
you 2
honestly
were
probably
trusting
was
each
Lane,
other.
to be honest.
So I'm pretty sure now that I'm really taking it in and shutting my mouth that Jesse,
Lane pretty
your
much
vote
came
was
to me
for
with
Lane.
2 votes.
Right.
With 2 vote options. The first one was you. He goes, either you go home or Jesse goes home. Gonna be honest with you.
All right.
And then it was either you go home or Julia goes home. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna play the best I can. So I wouldn't vote for you. I wouldn't vote for either of you. But when it's me against you, yes, I have to.
All right, Jesse, I know you had a thought, so go ahead.
And then Darcy has her hand up, I see. Just so we
yeah.
keep track.
Well, Kevin, I just had a question for you. Are we going to be able to ask the final 3 questions when we get to that? Like asking the person their questions?
Yeah, well, we'll go over how the finale is going to work out.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
I know
let me
you've been
get
kind of
my-
like
so,
not.
Yeah, but as far as socially, me and Kat were like one-on-one because we're both in the same state. But it seemed like she never
I don't know. I just don't feel like she really took the initiative to make a move. She just kind of agreed with me. But AJ, I never spoke to him too much, and it seems like I'll give me more information on like how AJ's playing. He seems to get that kind of sly personality, but he seemed to never be in anybody's radar. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did AJ receive any votes this whole season?
I'm looking at my board, and to be honest, I don't see one vote cast for AJ the entire season.
Oh, there we go.
I can answer because it's public knowledge. He got one at the first shop tribal. That's it.
Yeah, other than that was
okay.
it.
Well, still, even one, that's pretty daggone good. He has not received. He has not. He received one vote, but that's it. Now, let's see. Lane, me and Lane tried to play on the Brandon vote out. Me and Lane decided to try and play secret agent, and me and him were the two votes for Darcy. I'm pretty sure he voted for Darcy on the Brandon vote. But I'm sorry again, Brandon. But yeah, but Lane didn't really have a lot of ideas, to be honest. So really, socially, AJ had the better vote, but strategically, Cat's got my vote for right now, unless y'all can change my mind that AJ played a better strategic game. But I could be wrong. I've been out of the loop, y'all. Y'all know what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks.
That's
crazy. All right. We have talked for a while. Darcy, I'm going to let you talk, and then I'm going to go to Linz and Gianna, and then we're going to move on to something else. Go ahead, Darcy.
No, I just want to talk about strategic just really quick. Now, I'm going to go Cat and Lane first because I was with AJ the whole time. Like I said, Cat and Lane strategically, we didn't really talk strategically. It was like we talked in a chat and then that was it. And then same thing with Cat. So as far as like strategic goes, I can't really speak on that. Now, AJ, on the other hand, me and AJ were on the same tribe from the beginning. So the only vote that I wasn't included in was the Danny vote. After that, I basically was working with him the whole time. So all the votes that happened, except for the Dustin vote that like I said, it had to have been one of them two, the mysterious vote. I voted the same way AJ. I know, Julia. I know. That's when I had to, believe it or not, that's when I had to strategically change my game because that was my number one. So me and AJ were basically talking about, the voting people out and strategically and stuff like that. So, he kind of just was trying to just make sure that whatever he did, he can survive the next vote. Just as long as it wasn't him and he put it to somebody else, that was how he did that.
All right, Linz and Gianna, if you guys want to chime in about like strategic games, and then like I said, we're gonna move on after that. If either of you have something to say.
Okay, I guess I can go real quick.
Yeah.
I don't think Lane had a strategic game. I just felt like he was protected and he just rode along, their coattails and stuff. So that's how I feel when it comes to Lane. In a way, I kind of almost feel like Kat was kind of like that too. I don't know if she really initiated any votes. I do agree with Julia that I feel that AJ was like the puppet master and was the one trying to get votes on people and stuff, strategizing that way. And I know him and Darcy was kind of close too and working on that too. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Linz, go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Gigi. Definitely really enlightening to listen to what everyone else thinks, because obviously I was with AJ since day one. We were working really closely together. We did talk a lot of strategy. I know AJ's strategic game. Don't know anything about Cat and Lane, so that was going to be like a big question of mine at Final Tribal Council. It's nice to hear what you guys are all thinking, but I also do think that not being the one to say the name every time can also be a valid strategy. I know it doesn't get a lot of respect, and that probably wasn't the intent behind it, but being under the radar, making sure you're not the one putting the target on your back by being the first one to say a name sometimes can be a strategy in and of itself. But definitely something I'm looking forward to hearing more about from Kat and Lane specifically, because I just didn't work with them, so I don't have a really good insight into their strategic game.
Okay, so I think we've said all we needed to strategically. We got a couple more questions here. Next thing I want to talk about is advantages. So we know that Lane obviously played his safety without power. We know that Kat had a couple idle plays as well as AJ. Do we think, how did they use these things to their benefit? There were quite a few of them. How do we feel like that went? Do we feel like they used it to their benefit? I think that's very important to know when to play an advantage, when to play, defensively, offensively, however you want to do it. If anyone wants to weigh in on that.
So I'm going to weigh in first just because I'm, again, like beginning of jury, so I didn't see a lot of these. The tribe idols, all three of them were found by different people, obviously because different tribes. From my understanding, they were only played because they were expiring. It was because they were in danger. It's because they were expiring. They had to play them. So AJ wasn't in danger. Obviously, that was the Ashton vote. Kat wasn't in danger. Apparently, Danny was the vote. Again, wasn't there. I don't remember who had the last one, but all three of them who played the idols weren't in danger. Now again, from what I understand, at Final Six that I watched, that's like the one trial I did watch. Kat playing her idol was again because it expired at 6. I would only know that because I had the other idol that expired at 6. So both like post swap idols expired at 6. So I feel like in terms of idol plays, nothing was strategic. It was, it expires. Let me play it so I'm safe. And someone else can talk about the safety about power and the other advantages that were out there because I was not there. But I personally just feel like the idol plays were not good at all. They were just like, they expire. Let me play them so I don't have a souvenir in my pocket and I'm insured to go to the next round.
All right, Megan, go ahead. I see your hands up. And then Darcy.
So I think more importantly is not how they played their own powers, is how they played other people's powers. So I feel like for me, both Kat and AJ played my power against me, because AJ knew about it, and did not, and we had whole conversations about how to play this particular power. And then he's like, well, it's really probably not the best idea to do it tonight because she's got an idol. So he was playing my idol against my power, my whatever power that I had, against Kat's idol that she had that was going to be good till 6. So AJ played my power against me, even though he gave it back to me after I gave it to him to keep it safe. He gave it back to me without me asking for it. He played that power against me. The same way that Kat played my power against me as well. And I don't think she did it intentionally, but she still did a really great job of it. So I feel like the fact that they had the knowledge of where the other powers and the other idols were, and they were working within the construct of understanding that there were other powers and other idols out there, and how can they work around those in order to keep themselves safe. So I don't think them having idols was important in this game. I think that the knowledge of where all the power was and how they worked around those powers was how this game worked when it came to those types of things.
Okay, Darcy, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just gonna piggyback off of Dustin and what Megan said, because in both of their cases, they're right. You know, like for example, Lane had a safety without powers. Did he need to play it? No, didn't need to play it, but he played it, like he said, because he didn't want to do anything. But that the advantage that Megan had, that really big advantage, like she said, AJ knew about it and was like, okay, well, you can't, obviously, like she said, you can't do anything about it because Kat had an idol. So I think he used it to his advantage because he knew what was going on, and he was like, okay, well, no, don't play it because we don't know what's going to happen with the idol or anything like that. So I definitely think it was in his how he did that with it was good. And then I think Kat, even though she had that advantage about, asking what, if you had an idol or something like that, and she used it on Brandon, it was kind of a waste because Brandon didn't have anything.
And
She
she
could
knew
have
I
used it
didn't
on
have
me that night because she knew
Yes,
that I had the power and she did it. And she used it as
exactly.
a bargaining chip with me the next day. She goes, I could have
See?
taken your advantage and I didn't. So that's a shot. That's a sign of faith with me. That's the reason why you should trust me, because I didn't take your power when I could have. So absolutely,
Megan,
Steve.
what was your power?
So my power was threefold. So it started out as a steal a vote and an extra vote together. The next time I had tribal, it was just a steal a vote. And then the next time it was just an extra vote. However, if I pass that power onto another person, the power reset for that person.
So
So
what
if
was it?
I gave it
Steal a
to
vote?
somebody, it would go back to its full power. And then if they gave it back to me, it resets to the last time I touched that power. So it was a freaking huge it was a huge win for me. And I absolutely blew it. So sorry, I blew it. Totally blew it.
It's
And
okay.
So
just
sorry, guys. It could have
I
been a
just
completely different game, but I
just
blew it.
going based off.
Can I just finish really
Yeah, go
quick?
ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
go
yeah.
ahead,
Sorry,
Darcy.
Darcy.
I
Sorry.
know, no, it's fine. I know Megan was piggybacking on what I was saying, because what I was saying, it made sense. So, and like she said, because of how big and how massive her advantage was, they kind of both, like she said, played it. But I think AJ did a better job manipulating it, because she gave it to him to hold for one of the nights, and then he gave it back to her. So I feel like he probably did better with the advantages that he had, and then the advantage of knowing what other people had, and he used that to his advantage.
All right. So I'm gonna give myself back power for a second. Gianna, if you want to give your thoughts on the advantages and all that stuff. I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah. And I'm still gonna ask this to Lane about that safety without power, because I did just hear that he just didn't want to vote or anything, but afterwards he came to me and he was like, oh, so we all flipped to vote Megan. But I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that happened, but you didn't even vote. So I'm like, why did you use the power? Did you want to gain trust with Megan, or were you just trying to use it because it was expiring? So I just want him to explain that more with me, to me, when I asked the question to him
I
at
just
Final Tribal. So that was my thing.
Just real quick, Kevin,
Yeah.
you can have the power back. I think nobody in this game, other than myself, correctly played a power successfully. Other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, to answer the questions, who played the idols at what? I think everybody that played an advantage failed at it, other than myself. So, and nobody knew I had that idol. So, hats
All
off
right.
to me.
All right.
So,
I feel like that's a pretty good place to stop. If anyone else has anything else to say about powers, advantages, we'll go ahead and move on here. Very quickly, we're going to get to this next question. Just by a show of hands, who feels like, we don't have opening speeches yet. We haven't had the finale yet, but who feels like they are going into finale night with their vote pretty set? They don't need to hear anything else. They know who they're voting for. Just by a show of hands, who feels that way? Okay, so this is your space right now. Very quickly, what exactly do you need to hear? What do you need to hear from these final three in order to really get your votes? Darcy, you can start.
Yeah, because I'm falling asleep. I got to be to work at 9 tomorrow, so I'm.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we're gonna try to
I
speed this up a bit.
I got you. I honestly want to hear people own the moves that they did. I want them to tell me what exactly they did to propel them to where they're at right now. Own your moves, own your strategies, own everything that you have.
All right, Julia, and then Brandon.
Yeah, so I agree with what Darcy said. I obviously need them to take ownership of that. I also need them to be honest about if that wasn't their move, to just own it, be like, yeah, I was going along with majority, whatever. Obviously, I wouldn't respect that, but I just need them to be honest and yeah, like literally what Darcy said, like 100%. Just take ownership and maybe I'll respect you more. Yeah.
All right, Brandon. Then I think I saw Megan.
So I'm looking at this as accountability of what you have done in this game, and why it was such a big, why it benefited them to stick to a majority is what I'm hearing, other than making it easier for their game, other than a majority of what the rest of the tribe. Like if it wasn't good for them, I'm going to use AJ for, if it wasn't good for AJ, then why did he jump on the bandwagon? Or if we're hearing it from Lane, why was it good for his game to jump on the bandwagon with the majority? Because that's not Survivor. An easy vote is like, we're here to play games, so I want to hear accountability of what they're doing.
All right, Megan, I saw you had your hand up.
Oh no, I was just like fervently thumbs upping.
Okay.
Accountability, ownership, and verbally putting out what their game is, as opposed to letting us assume. Like, I want them to say, that was my vote. I want to hear those words. Be bold, be proud of it. You know what I mean? You're in final three. Be proud of what got you there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else from anyone? Gianna, and then Dustin, and then we'll wrap it up.
I want Lane to explain his game, because I don't know what he did. I just felt like he just followed along. So I need him to explain his game. And oh shoot, I just lost the other train of thought. And I also need him to explain what that safety without power was. And yeah, and like what everybody's saying, like what everybody else is saying, own up to it, the move. So I really want to know who was the Dustin vote. So yeah, they just need to own up to what they did. So I agree with everybody else on that.
I think there's someone else who also wants to know who the Dustin vote is, who might also have his hand up. So go ahead. Without getting too much into that, what do you
That's literally what I was about to say. I was like, I want to know why my vote was like beneficial, if it's beneficial for them, and if it was or was not. And then they need to own up to their votes. Like, I voted this way because, and like say it with like boldness and like why, and it benefited my game this way, and because, and like I need to know like why did you vote the way you did, and why did it benefit your game, and how did it propel you to final three. I don't want you to just be like, oh, majority, so I just voted along. Like, that's
about what it is.
But I yes, like some people do that, but I don't think all three of them did that. Like, I feel like one person did that in particular. The other two may have made like at least thought about it before they did what they did.
All right, Amy, I think I saw you had your hand up.
Yes, please.
Trying to keep it relevant to what we're discussing.
Yes, I am. Dustin, I damn sure did vote you. Unfortunately, yeah, that round was kind of crazy. But I want them to explain, like Lane came to me, honestly, with the Megan vote out. He said, it's either you or Megan. If you vote this way, then we're good. So I need them to explain to me why they voted the way they did. And yes, I have voted for myself before, because I've just had a shit couple weeks. So I apologize to everyone. I apologize to everyone. And Gigi, I especially want to apologize to you, because if I could have self-voted that time, so
we can make our apologies at the reunion.
Yep.
Anyway, Megan, yes.
I also would like for them to own up to a move that they feel like did incorrectly.
Okay.
So, for example, Lane with his safety without power, he could have changed the game that night by using that on me, and it would have completely flipped the entire game.
And same with Kat with the knowledge of power. When she
Absolutely.
said, "Oh, I know you don't have an idol, but I'm going to use and waste my power on you anyway, knowing that you're going to be voted out."
So I would like for them to own their mistakes as well, basically.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end. Jay, if you want to say something.
Yes, I was gonna say, I was like before you specific scene for you. And this is something I like to do every single season. By a show of hands, do not say anything. Just kind of go down where your current leanings are. So like, like is if at this moment you think you're voting for X person, I'll say their names and then raise your hand. So we'll start off with Kat. At this current moment, whose vote is leaning towards Kat? All right, Darcy, you had your hand up? Okay. And Jesse? All right.
No, that wasn't my hand up. I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay. So Lane. All right. And AJ.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, very good discussion all around. Like I said, I think we pretty much went through everything. For those who weren't here yesterday, when we get off stream, Jay is going to explain like how the finale is going to work and things like that. But other than that, you guys, I think we've gone as in depth as possible. Now it's up to you guys. What's going to happen on Friday night? That's up to you. We will go ahead and see you guys then. With that, have a good night.